think I didn't find out till later on. There was no cell phones, there was nothing. I got a beeper message to call, and I called my office and they told me that the Office of the Victim Advocate was looking for me. And I said, well, do you have any idea why? And they said, oh my God, you don't know what happened.
I went to a family assistance center in New Jersey. Experiences there I will never forget.
I was at a pay booth in Shippensburg, and I said, okay, I drove right to Harrisburg, went right to PCCD, and in the meantime, that's when the crash happened in Shanksville.
Because back then, KKIT was out of the Office of the Victim Advocate, and we were working with the National Organization of Victim Assistance in the coordination of response.
How I remember experiencing it is KKIT very quickly had protocols set up.
They had individual booths, tents, and they had telephones that people could call their loved ones.
And in a while, we had a list of people who were licensed and had child abuse clearances. We need these people to come now.
I wasn't thinking about the magnitude. I was focusing on the mission.
Once I knew that I was being asked to go, all I had to do was say so. And they said, you do whatever you've got to do. We're behind you.
We all knew we were in it together. We didn't know exactly what we were going to be doing. I think the way that KKIT has been formed and the structure they have in place is to make people feel confident in what they're doing, and that we bonded over the fact that we know what we're doing.
A couple of days in, the PCCD sent representatives from the Victims Compensation Program to make sure that the families got signed up for Victims Comp. Whether, it was so chaotic that people didn't even think about that, but they were encouraging them to get signed up.
It just showed how committed Pennsylvania was to supporting the victims of this.
Agencies took care of us, right? They acknowledged what we went through and knew that we had to do the self-care.
I think because we were so new, everybody followed the rules. Everybody followed the manual.
It really truly does take a village, and it takes that collaboration. And no one role is less important than another role.
Where we were, the burning towers was right across the river. Of course, that's where the victims wanted to look. We mentally had to prepare them that the towers were still burning. It was rough. It was rough.
I had an overnight shift, and we supported families that were turning in DNA evidence for the FBI. And that was the other role that KKIT played, in terms of support with the families.
Mostly we were with the families, and our volunteers went with families when they went to the site. There were site visits that were orchestrated for the families to go so they could pay their respects.
To know that you had a colleague from your organization going to help, I felt everyone feel less helpless.
What helped me in that was being able to just step back and say, we've already made these decisions as a group, as an advisory group. It's already been tested. Maybe we were new, maybe we were young, but this is who we are.
We just made it work. There weren't any questions, beyond that. It was whatever you can do, then you're going to go do it.
And so there were some challenges on that level. There was challenges from the governor's office. There was a lot of challenges, the public relations offices, and they wanted more information. And I said, we can't do that. We're like here with these families, and they are picking body parts out of the ground as I'm speaking to you, and we are not making a public comment. And 9/11 wasn't just one day. It was at least a year out that we were still responding.
It's the closest I ever want to get to a war zone, and your self-care has to be commensurate with your exposure.
We had the NOVA model basis, but we had to adapt it to Pennsylvania. How does Pennsylvania do it? How do we want to do it? And I just think that it just stood the test of time. I
also think it was great to have PCCD backing us, because it really showed, frankly, from a state perspective, for PCCD funding us, and PCCD funded a lot of our organizations where we work. That was basically the entree to say, hey, we're going to support you.
We certainly supported each other. We already identified the support we had behind us. And then the team effort and the leadership that we have, that's all what made it work. I really believe.
Boy, you can't mess with that Pennsylvania team. I mean, seriously, they don't change. If they say they're doing it this way, that's what they do. If they said this is what their rule is or their guideline, that's what they do.